Hey everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Woof.
We're sorry we had to reschedule this one from yesterday. Company came into town. Nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, this was a rough one, huh?
This was a rough one. Oh my goodness.
Just
We are
talking
proud
points.
of this one. Yeah, even if it did take us like 6 months.
It did take us like 6 months to record.
It took us like 6 months to record, and yeah, it was a hard edit. Apparently,
it was a really hard edit.
It's a rough one.
Yeah.
Oof.
We got to the rough part of the episode and just kind of stopped for a few months.
Oh goodness, we got to the rough part of the episode and we couldn't keep going without throwing our schedule off by like weeks and weeks.
But yeah, talking points. We still have our giveaway going on. When we get to 300 followers on Twitter, we have these Leo and Fee keychains that will be going out to 3 lucky winners.
Somebody in the chat said, "Hello, gay people." So true. We still have our ARG for our second campaign going on. We posted another voicemail yesterday, I believe. Very fun, very good, very excited. And we are still hoping to, if all goes well, start airing second campaign end of October.
Yep.
Wahoo!
Here we go.
Yeah, we have a few more things for the ARG coming out and some other stuff when we get closer to time. And if you're subscribed to our Patreon, you would have gotten a new character intro this past Sunday.
And playlist.
And a playlist if you're a $3 or above patron. Wow.
Playlist.
Playlist for Homograth. Oh my god. Pull up the doc.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know it was in the doc. Okay. First one was My Brother by Mr. Wives, which was also, we kept doing this thing where we would put like things on the Omegroth playlists that had been on, I know that there are 2 that were on Fee playlists, or not Fee, but episode playlists, because this was on an episode playlist, but it was a Fee song, but this was a Valorant song, I believe.
Yeah, just very much for the beginning of everything. Just the chorus of, and oh my brother, it pains me to see you here again. Oh my brother, I'll take this ride with you until the end. I'll never leave you. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough.
Let love guide you home when you're wandering. Don't let yourself turn to stone when you're wandering. Know that this too shall pass. Let the waves crash. Yeah,
it's rough. It's rough. We'll see this through. We'll see this through.
No, we won't.
Bestie. And then it was Halloween by Nova Amor.
Many thoughts. Many thoughts about Halloween by Nova Amor. This is probably...
Somebody in the chat was talking about Campaign 2 is so soon, right? And character intro with a bunch of heart face emojis. That is one of our patrons.
Yeah, but Halloween by Nova Amor is probably my favorite Moreland song that we've ever done on one of these. God, just every word of this song. All the good words have left my mouth. I'm completely out of things to say about it now. More and more, I'll catalog my doubts. It's the worst thing about me, and it's always around. And then the chorus, I remember Halloween, I hit my head on the edge of the sink, dialing out to an older me. I miss my friends that I pretend I don't need, but I could have done with them this week. On the table, my face went white and I fainted right at the wrong damn time. I had an ECG. They checked how I breathed and said I should take my life more seriously. That was very much about the beginning of the episode too, and just the the line I miss my friends that I pretend I don't need is a line when you apply it to Moreland in a very big way.
Somebody in the chat said, "I despise how you had to give that to him," or no, I despise how you had that to give to him.
Yeah, there's a lot.
God.
So my Moreland playlist, like my personal one that I made when we started doing Omegroth 1 and Omegroth 2. Is I think my second longest playlist that I have. It's second only to my Leo playlist, and there's so much fucking Nova Amor on it.
There's so much Nova Amor, and there's like a bunch of Skillet.
Yeah, there's like cringe early 2000s rock. There's like Breaking Benjamin. There's a lot of like Breaking Benjamin and like unironic 3 Days Grace and Skillet and shit like that.
God.
And then it's like total tone shift between like 3 Days Grace and Skillet and all that shit to the man loves Phoebe Bridgers. I don't know what to say.
God.
There's like 4 Phoebe Bridgers
here.
songs.
I hate it here.
There's a lot of Novo More.
It's a rough one. It's a rough one.
Oh God, Good People by Poor Man's Poison. Yeah. That was a song.
Fun thing. This is the same band. This is the same band that did
Feed the Machine,
right?
Which is a Moreland song. Yep.
Yeah, Feed the Machine by Poor Man's Poison. I believe we put on a playlist for Moreland in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that goes, "Hey, you feed the machine, bring them on back right to their knees," something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is off the same album as Feed the Machine too.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, this one's rough. What if all they lost was all they had? What if they were broken, just looking for a hand? If you could help or walk away, if the choice was up to you, what would you do? What if they were you?
God, and then towards the end of the song, that he just starts singing, "Where did all the good people go? Where did all the good people go?" It's a rough one.
And also the other verse of, what if all you gave was all you had? What if you were humble, just holding out your hand? What if kindness prevailed and you were someone's second chance, just giving back? That doesn't sound so bad.
Valorin, my beloved.
Yeah, guy of time. And then
song for Ernest Hemingway. Was this a Moreland song?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. This song is a lot. I love to put it on playlists.
Oh God.
I feel extremely normal about it.
This was for the fight. Yeah, this was for their fight.
Yep.
This guy goes from concrete to charcoal. I'm laying on my back on the roof, gonna shoot these clouds full of holes because I need some fucking light to pour through because December's got me up against the ropes and I don't know how to get loose. I can't get feeling back in my toes from walking in circles with you like we're Canadian geese. I should be south of here already. I'll be your dead bird. You'll be my bloodhound. You're just doing what you're told. Pick my body off the ground. I'll be your dead bird. You're just you're going to make your master proud. You're just doing what you're told. Going to make your master proud.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, God.
So much of this song is just so fucking rough. It's a song. It's a song. Song of time.
Like, and with that applied to the fight, there is that part at the end of the chorus that I'll be your dead bird hanging from your mouth. You're just doing like you're told, gonna make your master proud. It's good to know I didn't die for nothing. Like, yeah. Woof.
Getting turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, oh my God.
There's a lot of Wonder Years on my Moreland playlist too, but I do have a playlist called And They Were Narrative Foils where I have all of my songs that are on both my Leo playlist and my Moreland playlist.
God.
And it's got a lot of Wonder Years on it. 6 by Sleeping at Last was a Val song.
Yep. Yeah. Oh God. My mind was heavy, running ragged with worst case scenarios, emergency exits in the distance below. I woke up so worried that the angels let go. Oh God, I'm so tired of being afraid. What would it feel like to put this baggage down? If I'm being honest, I'm not sure I'd know how. I want to take shelter, but I'm ready to fight. And somewhere in the middle, I feel a little paralyzed, but maybe I'm stronger than I realize.
God, and I want to believe, no, I choose to believe that I was made to become a sanctuary. Valorin, my beloved.
He's guy of time. Somebody in the chat said, there's a lot of Wonder Years on my Moreland playlist. Sentence of all time.
One of these days I'll release it.
Yeah. God, please don't. There's so much Skillet.
There's one Skillet song.
I know.
There's one, which is too much Skillet.
It's too much Skillet.
Like one Skillet song
is too much Skillet. Any Skillet is too much Skillet.
I unironically have Animal I Have Become by 3 Days Grace on that playlist.
It's bad. God, it's not bad, but it's bad. I will say, regarding the Wonder Years, we love to put Wonder Years songs on fucked up deranged men playlists.
Yeah.
And specifically, we have put them on 2 separate playlists for dads, for stories that we've done. Like, overwhelmingly so. It's a lot.
We see a fucked up shitty little man and we put the Wonder Years on his playlist. That applies to Leo too. That's why there was so much Wonder Years on the Leo playlist.
Oh, I was counting Leo when I did the first statement there. Anyway.
Oh God. Final track. Speaking of Phoebe Bridgers, final track is I Know the End.
Somebody in the chat said, is this a hint? Might be. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final track is I Know the End. I just had I had very cinematic thoughts about that narration I did at the very end of the episode about him holding Adriel's hands and praying that she didn't notice the blood under his fingernails. Like, that scene happening with the fucking scream at the end of the song. Anyway, Phoebe Bridgers screaming at the top of her lungs, watch Moreland Valsine dissociate so hard it literally makes him a worse person.
God. It's a lot.
I'll find a new place to be from, a haunted house with a picket fence to float around and ghost my friends.
No, I'm not afraid to disappear. The billboard said the end is near.
I turned around, there was nothing there. Yeah, I guess the end is here.
We do keep using this song a lot, I would say, because we used it for the episode where Defiance died. We used it as a fee song there.
We do like to use this song when Valsines kill their narrative foils.
It didn't go on the. It didn't go on, not the epilogue, but the finale. It didn't go there only because we had used it when Defiance.
Well, and also it didn't really work for the whole dynamic with Leo and Moreland. It was that was a different thing, but it worked here. It worked disturbingly well here.
Yeah, the two of us just make a lot of writing choices that I Know the End is really good for, in general.
But I'm not going to go down with my hometown in a tornado. I'm going to chase it.
Anyway, on to our questions. As we groan. Oh, so that we forgot to move them.
Oh, whoops.
Also, we've been very far from the mic this whole time. Whoops.
Just fix that real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, gay people. How was that? It was not
Don't
good.
ask us that question. Don't ask us that question. Oh my God. Somebody in the chat regarding I Know the End was this like evil sounds of agony here. So true.
Yeah. So as far as how that was, like we said, it took us about 6 months to record all of Omegroth 2 from start to finish. When did we stop? Because we literally stopped for we took a couple short breaks at the beginning for recording.
No, because we tried to record it. Well, we tried to record it first, I believe end of October 2021.
Yeah.
And then...
So this episode is the oldest part of this episode is almost a year old.
Yeah, we tried to record it first, October of 2021. Our cat is yelling. I think it was right after we finished recording season 2 because we wanted to speed run all of the bonus episodes. That didn't happen because Omegroth 2 was really hard to record. And then when you had off for winter break in 2021,
we did a little bit more.
Yeah, we tried to do a little bit more because we were trying to get through a bunch of season 3 episodes and Omegroth 2 in that time.
Mm-hmm.
This and Death Twins messed up our schedule there.
Yeah, because Death Twins 1 and 2 took forever.
Oh yeah, those took a while. Well, you can tell given how fucking long they are.
But because Death Twins 2 is our longest episode.
Oh yeah,
still yeah.
But yeah, that was we tried to do it again there, and then we finally finished it after the campaign wrapped. It would.
Yeah,
it took us over 6 months to record this episode.
We got to that part and we just both emotionally shut down. I remember the first time we tried to record that, I looked at Al and I was just I can't do this.
Yeah.
And we have a question about that part later and we'll circle back to that, but because I have a whole anecdote about it, but yeah, I fucking noped out of it the first time we tried to record it.
This was an episode that was really hard to record in general. I'm proud of the final product. I'm glad we did it. It's really good, in my opinion. But it was very hard to record.
It was extremely emotionally draining.
Oh my God. We were so relieved when it was done that we both just took a day to vegetate. It was really good. Good to vegetate, not good to... Oh.
Good job.
I am dropping Sin voice. Anyway, yeah, it was rough. Second question was, can we talk about the juggling of political and personal titles this part specifically and how they're used?
So the person that sent this question elaborated, like, how Adana, when she and Morlin were having that fight, were like, well, as your chief strategist, this, and as your wife, this.
Yeah, and like as your general, this.
And like, stop being my big brother and start being the Grand Duke. Like, that was a recurring. I think it was a recurring theme that we didn't necessarily intend. I don't know that we really planned it, but I think you know, so much of the identity of the Valsine family is tied to that juggling of personal and political roles, and always having to consider that you are never just one thing. Like, that was a big thing that I did with Morlin's characterization, for sure. And like, it ended up showing through with your characterization of Val a lot too, that like, he considered himself, you know, like a brother and a son and a friend and a husband, but like, also under all of that, he had all of that responsibility, and he had that position as the Grand Duke, and it caused a lot of conflict of interest.
Yeah, it was very much like professional titles as a way for everybody to distance themselves from the emotions of what was going on.
Which was a huge thing that Morlin did. Like, when he sent Adana home, he was like, nope, I am going into my full professional role right now. I am doing this as your commanding officer and not as your husband, because I don't want the emotional fallout of doing this as your husband.
And that was most of it. And I think that final thing of stop being my brother, start being the Grand Duke, was like very much emblematic of like just cutting off, shutting down.
Yeah, because that's BPD's hereditary.
God,
Leo comes by it honest.
God. Oh goodness. Half of this episode was just hello, have you heard that Morlin Valsine is not neurotypical?
And you have to deal with
that.
You
have to deal with that.
We had to deal with it, so do you. We were that scene where we the scene where he was like going off on the tangent about not wanting the baby to be around his mom.
With Morlin and Adana, we just like stopped after recording that
scene. We were like,
scene.
oh God, he's autistic.
We laughed for like 5 minutes and went, how did Leo end up so holistic with two parents that are this
autistic? Yeah. And then Morlin and Adana have flavors of autism that are just
they don't work together.
They're bad.
They don't work together. They don't work together. We are saying this as two autistic people. Yeah. We are saying this as two autistic people.
Also whose types of autism are like this.
Extrovert ass. It is. I've seen this one post recently that was just like, meeting other autistic people is either, yes, we mesh perfectly, this is great, you're my best friend now, or please never speak to me again.
And then Morlin and Adana got married for some fucking reason.
God. Anyway. Tangent. Oh God.
But yeah, the using the titles to kind of emotionally divorce from everything that was going on around was definitely a thing that we saw both brothers doing.
And Adana.
Yeah,
like it was very much just so much was going on emotionally that they had to be able to get some distance to think clearly, which is very much PTSD compartmentalization be like that. So it very much was like serving a purpose in a bad way
that was not effective or constructive.
It's a very unhealthy coping mechanism. But I don't think we necessarily set out wanting to do that. I think it happened between Morlin and Adana basically because they had been having that fight. Mm-hmm. And like it was very much a sniping back and forth at each other.
Mm-hmm. Because it in a way, I would say it was more weaponized in Morlin and Val's fight. Like, I don't think Morlin or Adana, either one of them in that fight, was doing that to weaponize it or throw it in the other's face. That was very much a compartmentalization thing. But the stop being my brother and start being the Grand Duke line, that was Morlin weaponizing it.
And I had Val say it later in the episode to echo what had happened earlier in the episode. Like I had him do that as very much like a purposeful callback to like kind of, and they were narrative foils to like kind of reinforce the fact that how similar Moreland and Val really are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can talk about this. Also, we can talk about, because during the fight, the scene where Val was trying to get Moreland to sign the papers, we intentionally paralleled
It's
that
almost word
with
for
the
word.
Yep.
From
With the
episode 1.
opening scene.
When Leo was arguing with Moreland about
Mhm.
signing the abdication papers.
Clearly, I won't be. Yeah, I'll get those.
What is the meaning of this? And clearly, I won't be signing these. That's word for word from Leo's dialogue from episode 1. So imagine how Moreland felt hearing that.
God, I don't think he remembered with that much detail.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Those couple days are probably seared into that man's mind.
That's fair. That's
pretty hard. Yeah,
that's fair. But yeah, that was a fun thing we did. We did a lot of fun parallels here. Okay, yeah. Next question. Our next question just reads verbatim. So, wow, Moreland really had a cool motive, still murder moment, huh?
Cool motive, still murder. I mean, that's and we've talked about this before about how when we write villains, it makes our stories feel more complete. You always have to have the villain be right about at least one thing. Because if you have a villain that's unequivocally wrong about everything, it takes away a lot of the pathos. And I like writing interesting villains a lot. Yeah. So his cool motive, still murder. Like his motivations were, you saw his motivations lined out, and he was being honest about them. About like, I'm not fucking cool with this because these people did an imperialism on us, and I want them to deliver reparations to our country that they've been fucking up for 200 years.
Yeah, and like there was no, I think, perfect way to handle that situation, which was what we were trying to get across with Moreland and Val. Like
they both had very different approaches, and neither one of them was wrong until fratricide came onto the table, and then there was a wrong party. But
personally, I think the Moreland approach was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they should have paid for it. But like in the moment, I was very much trying to lean into the Val like reasoning of, yeah, they should. And like Val, I hope this came across right.
Val agreed with him.
Yeah, Val agreed with him, but like pushing for an imperialist power that was never going to pay them back for the loss of thousands of lives was going to result in more deaths.
And he had just not seen his brother die, but his fucking brother had just died.
Yeah, and like got brought back just by the virtue of happening to have somebody with a resurrection spell.
Yeah. So I mean, it was very close to home for Val, and I mean, I can see how motivation wise and how with what he could do, because he was the more political person and he was the person that had more political sway.
Yeah.
I could see why he pumped the fucking brakes because his brother had just died.
Yeah, like we tried to make it a very ethically complicated situation and politically complicated situation. And I hope it came across as we meant it to, but somebody in the chat said, yeah, even Val agreed, but that was quite literally damage control. Like Moreland was correct, but it was unsafe to execute as right as he was. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And that's a big thing I did with Moreland's characterization too, was that he didn't care. Yeah. He didn't care that it was an unsafe path. It was like a very like moral conviction.
Yeah.
And like, just as a person, he's very stubborn and he's very much just put your head down and bull rush through it.
Yeah. And like that, we wanted it to be clear that like he was right there and then
overcorrected a little bit.
Overcorrected. And also like by the time that we see him in canon, he has gone so far into sunk cost fallacy of like, well, I did all of this because this is what I wanted.
Might as well.
Yeah. Might as well keep going. Might as well commit a war crime.
Hand me my shovel, I'm going in by Will Wood playing in the background.
Hand me my shovel, I'm going in. Might as well commit a dozen war crimes. And the Voldurans did deserve it, don't get it twisted.
The Volduran civilians
did not. The government did. The civilians did not. But also
like that's we saw the kind of, that's what I liked about doing Omegroth is like we get to really see how devolved and how like really not even a person anymore Moreland is by the time we see him in canon. And like when he starts losing it even more in canon, like with that like devolution of his character, it has a lot more context, and I think like it has a lot more tragedy to it with the context of McGrath 1 and 2, because you get to see 2 episodes of this guy being a fucking person. And like
it was that line you had near the end of the episode of you got to just start hacking pieces of yourself off,
because if you don't, they'll eat you alive. And that was what happened to him. He tore off so many pieces of himself that he just it went beyond, he wasn't himself anymore. He was like barely a person anymore.
Just sunk cost fallacy. At some point you gotta say, if it sucks, hit the bricks. God. Okay, our next question. As a continuation of that, he had a completely valid reason, but his choices, besties.
So we're still kind of. So keep riffing. I'm gonna go get another drink. But I'll be right back.
Can you get me some Gatorade while you're up?
Yes, I can.
Thanks. Wow. But it very much was like he was right, and we thought that gave him a lot more pathos. And somebody in the chat said, it was literally personal at that point. He put his whole life in that war. He just wanted real justice, but Val's brother died and Nora watched it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it very much was like, I tried to play Val as someone who was seeing that conflict from a distance. And I think, like, that's why he was able to have the perspective he did, I guess is the way to put it. Like, I'm not saying that as in like he had perspective so he was more right. I'm saying that in a way of like he was able to have a perspective that was more detached because he wasn't in the shit. Like he was aware of the toll that the Voldemort invasion had taken, but like through no fault of his own, he was not down in the trenches with other people, and like he wasn't from Elneas. He didn't see any of that up close. Oh, we should mention, we've established this before, but Sabine was from Elneas. The siege of Elneas and like the plague that followed is literally what killed Sabine's birth parents.
Yep.
And like we said how Sabine's birth parents died in podcast at some point, but like that's the connection there. Like that,
the siege of Elneas and the plague was, she said her father died in battle and her mom got sick.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
because Sabine and the captain are both little kids at the point of Overgrowth
at the point of Overgrowth too. Yeah, because
we said Soren was a newborn.
Yes, and Leo would have been like just conceived. And 26. Sabine would have been 3-ish.
And the captain would have been about
5.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, like about
5 or 6.
So equivalently, but
equivalently. But
we said Soren and Kalessa were both newborns during this, right?
Well,
because Kalessa's older than Leo.
Yeah, we said Kalessa wasn't quite there yet because Soren was older than Kalessa. Yeah. Rough. At least I believe that's how we set up the chronology. Mm-hmm. If it's wrong, I'm sure someone will tell us. But I wanted to get that out while I was thinking of it. Like, the events that Moreland was trying to get justice for were the events that killed Sabine's parents. Like, it is very not personal for him or for anybody at these negotiations, but personal for us making the show and for y'all listening to it. Like, that is what happened to Sabine's birth parents. It's very close to home. Anyway,
I mean, it was personal to Moreland, like because like
but not like close.
Yeah. Like nobody. I don't think anybody.
The war
he
in
knew
general.
died.
The war in general was close to Moreland, but like the specific events that happened in Elneas are contextualized by like these affected directly
characters in the podcast.
Characters in the podcast that are very important and that are very close to our hearts, and we hope everybody listening hearts.
Oh, but going back to the thing with the choices in this question. When Val and Nora had their scene, like the last time Nora saw her brother,
we do have a question about Nora.
Okay, so I'll put that off for later. Put that off for later. Okay.
Our next question was, can you talk about him including Elisha in sickness and in health, but especially in awful? Oh God, yeah.
I mean, he trauma bonding.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, like
Yeah.
that whole thing where Elisha got blown up was massive trauma bonding.
Yeah.
And Moreland was going through a situation where he incorrectly felt that he could not trust anybody else around him. Like Adana had burned him by backing up Val on that situation.
He split on everybody except Elisha.
He split on everybody except Elisha, essentially, is what happened.
Yeah.
Like Adriel, who Moreland and Adriel's relationship meant a lot to me, and it made it so much more
we
fucked
didn't get
up.
to have a lot of it,
but it was what we had was really good, and you could see that like that they were really good friends.
Yeah, we hope that came across.
Yeah, and I think we have a question about Adriel later too, so I'll put that off for later.
But yeah, it was massive trauma bonding, and he split on everybody except Elisha, and like I do think he thought that Elisha would go along with whatever he said because Elisha took the war as personally as he did, which he turned out to be right about.
Yeah, and I mean, there was that insight check. With the way it ended up being worded and everything, I don't know if I got this across as well as I wanted to, but like there was a degree of him knowing how she felt about him and using that to his own advantage, skeevy. Which is skeevy and bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah. First skeevy step down a long
skeevy road. Yeah.
Oh God.
The journey of 1,000 skeeves begins with the first step.
Oh no.
Which is not to paint Elisha as some like innocent, like naive. No,
Elisha did go along with it.
Elisha was knowingly an accessory to murder and fully knew what she was doing.
Yeah. But like, I think it very much was. I think to a degree, as soon as Moreland made the decision that it was okay to kill his brother, it was also okay to manipulate, lie,
and do whatever,
cheat, do whatever it needed
by any means necessary.
By any means necessary. And like it became immediately.
Well, it's that sunk cost fallacy thing again of like, my God, like I'm sitting here plotting murder.
Yep.
I might as well make this easy on myself by manipulating my colleague, lying to my wife.
I hated that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, "No, Elisha still wanted Val dead, so true, so true." In sickness and in murder. Yep, exactly.
I don't know that I don't think. That's the thing. I don't think either of them like wanted Val dead. This was not like a crime of passion, and like it was a very like well, in a way it was a crime of passion, but like in terms of like personal relationships with Valoran, I don't think anybody that was involved in killing him wanted him dead, but it was just I
think Elisha was indifferent to his life.
Well, because Elisha had met him once.
But
Elisha had met him once.
Elisha didn't know him. She didn't care. Like, she was very much... The motivations were very personal to Elisha, so she went along with it because she was a child soldier and she didn't know what else to do. And someone that she respected and had been taking orders from and trauma bonded with
and had feelings for
had a big old crush on. Did manipulate her a little bit, but also like fed a lot of her own bad mental state at that time in a way that made her very much want to participate.
Yeah.
Oh God, that whole that exchange of "you need me, I do" was really
things that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Is Elisha, look at me, I'm looking, and you need me, I do. Like
you need me, I do.
They are, and we had because we had
hand
pitched
an unlovable hand.
We had pitched that dialogue exchange before, and we had talked about how when the "you need me, I do" exchange happened, that Elisha was going to sound like calculating and satisfied, and Moreland was going to sound terrified when he admitted that he did.
I think we've talked about this before, but a lot of
Elisha's interesting.
Elisha's interesting. And Elisha I think we've discussed this, needed to feel, and has needed for a very long time, to feel special and important and wanted. And like, this was very much also with the fact that this was already something she wanted to do and something she would have been motivated to do anyway. That exchange was very much feeding into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, he made her feel special and necessary, and then she had that moment of realization of, oh, you need me for this.
Mm-hmm.
You can't trust anybody else. You need me. Yeah.
And that
like,
was what the foundation of their whole relationship was built on, was just that, like, it was very much that, like, she made her whole role in their relationship about how necessary she was to him.
Yeah.
And, like, and
he couldn't get rid of her because she
knew too much.
Yeah,
and
she knew too much, and she was holding up his entire house of cards.
Yeah. And it was, and she did that on purpose.
That was fascinating.
Yeah, like, oh god, hand in unlovable hand. Like, fucking worst, most toxic relationship.
Oh yeah,
not goals, but oh my god, are they interesting?
Suck. I'm dissecting them like a frog.
They suck. They're
them in the petri dish.
They suck. They're in love, I think.
Fuck. God, they're in love, I think, is really good. Okay. Our next question. Can you talk about the flashback during that scene? Like, oh my god.
Okay, so remember how I said that I had to fucking dip the first time we tried to record that part? When we pitched the plot line of the original episode,
that flashback
was not gonna be there. We were gonna do the fucking thing in media res. The stab and everything, and we couldn't do it.
We decided that was like torture porn, much like some of the stuff that we decided to take out of our like season 2 plans and such. Like, we decided it didn't really need to be there, and it was very much torture porn, and we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to make anybody listen to it. So
we didn't want to record it.
Didn't want to. It was the same thing with Justice's death, where like we were going to record that too, and then we went, no, this is too much. We don't need to see it. No.
So I mean, because we got to that point, and I remember, like, I was like, as the person that was in the chair playing Moreland, I was like, I can't do this. Like,
somebody in the chat said, so true, symbolism is enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very much, I think we have discovered that showing death on screen is largely not something that we need to do for our storytelling.
There were a couple necessary deaths, like Defiance's on-screen death was necessary, so we knew she was actually fucking dead this time.
Well, and also because like she had a lot of agency in that, and it was very much her choice. Like, that needed to be on screen to give it the gravity that it needed, and to, as much as Defiance was a heinous bitch, she deserved the dignity at the end of having that
of dying on her own terms.
Yeah, like that one we needed to see on screen, but like
Alashas we needed to see on screen,
but that was very quick.
Yeah,
like we just determined as we did this campaign that like death on screen is a good story choice for other people, but for a lot of the stories that we are writing, it doesn't work. And especially for this story, it mostly didn't work. Yeah. Because
it just evolved into, like, this is, like, we don't actually need to see this to make the point with the death that we are making.
Yep.
And so we had the idea to bring in the flashback for that scene of the the sparring match and which I mean, if you guys want to know, I'm gonna do a hand up, hand down for like sibling death, trigger warning, like kind of in-depth discussion of this.
Do we need to do this?
The falling down and crying was basically how he got in there, because Val woke up. Like, he pretended to be upset, and then
Yikes. It was we decided the flashback was good enough, and it could just be a symbolic thing. We didn't actually see what happened. So somebody in their chat just said, oh oh god. But our next question was, can you talk even more about the absolute fuck shit of Moreland during that moment. Like, oh my god. Yep.
He ripped off such a big part of himself that it fundamentally broke him. I mean, like, I meant it when I said that line. Like, he was never the same after that. And for the worse, obviously.
Somebody in chat just said it makes sense now, and then added a deeply negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And at that point, again, because he had pushed so much of his support network away, like, he wasn't really speaking with Adana because they were still fighting. He had kind of a small fight with Adriel. He had a huge fight with his brother. Nora wasn't there. Reese wasn't really equipped to deal with all of this.
Yeah, it was very much.
So people in vulnerable mental states, when left alone,
do things that they will regret later.
Will do bad shit. Yeah.
But yeah, it very much was just oof. Like, I think it was very much he had to not think about it
to be able to do it.
Yeah, to be able to do it and to be able to keep going after.
Which is why we did such a quick turnaround. Like, I know it felt fast going from like, oh, this is like one fight that you're having to, I'm gonna kill my brother, but it had to go fast, because if he had sat down and thought twice about it, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, it was very much an impulse thing based on the situation. Yeah, I think it was very much like this was something that he had to do on impulse and never think about it again, or it would have killed him.
I mean, I think he still did think about it. I think he thought about it every day, but at that point he had ripped off so much of himself and was so detached from it that he was able to keep pushing through it.
Something in the chat said yes, but also, like, how long did Moreland regret that? Because he seemed absolutely passive during that meeting on the boat with Leo.
How Moreland seems and how Moreland actually is are two very different things.
I don't think he let himself consciously. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think he let himself consciously regret it ever.
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
I think he...
Like, I was saying, I don't think he let himself think about it and, like, acknowledge regretting it.
I think it was a delicate dance. I think there were times when the regret did hit and it was brutal. And then that shit went right back in the box, and then that box went in another box, and then he mailed that box to himself, and when it arrived, he smashed it with a hammer. But I think there were moments, because that was what that final line of the episode about was, I promise the person responsible for this will never stop paying for it. Yeah.
Ooh.
Like, it wasn't something that haunted his every waking thought, but I think there were moments where the regret would kind of kick the door down, and thinking about it would kind of kick the door down. And those were very bad mental health episodes.
Somebody in chat said, I imagine an absolute "this is fine" with the fire moment. Like his brain.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
We had discussed, this is a fun thing, we had discussed at one point having Moreland be able to see Ghost Val.
Which, like, I'm still, like, if you guys want to headcanon it, because, like, with the way that Leo's
we would
mechanics...
never have been able to unpack.
Yeah.
But it was something we played with doing.
Because of the way the mechanics worked with the ghost hole, of, like, the closer Leo got to the ghost hole, the more he was seeing the ghost. So we were like, well, mechanically, like, would that mean that Moreland could see the ghosts, too? Because Val's in there. Like,
we had discussed that, and we would never have had time to unpack it. And, like, we had discussed the possibility of, like, yeah, he can see Ghost Val. He doesn't notice that it's a ghost, because Val is always haunting him regardless. And that was a tasty thing that we had come up with, but we never got to. We wouldn't have ever been able to unpack it.
We wouldn't have had time
it got left on the cutting room floor, which was so sad.
But yeah, we had talked, because you had made a joke about something Valorant's death anniversary. Moreland Valsine drinks himself into a coma ASMR while the ghost of his brother just slides the bottle across the table like, have another one, bastard.
That was an image that I really liked. But yeah, I was considering that as a possibility when I wrote the boat scene, like when I was doing the narration for it. Like that was something that I was taking into account of like I didn't think Moreland would interact with Val's ghost because like why would he? Obviously.
Because Val's haunting him all the time.
Yeah, obviously. But like I very much was working that into my concept of what was happening, especially with like
it's fun.
The fingers curling over the back of the chair.
Yeah, and like it's very fun to unpack that when you consider like if you watch that scene or listen to that scene through two different watch our podcast. Fuck off.
Sorry.
But if you listen to that scene through two different lenses, either the lens of Leo can see Valoran, but Moreland can't, or Leo and Moreland can both see Valoran. Like,
and both
like
think the other can't.
And the tone of the scene just it does a complete 180 if you, and I don't think either one is right, you know, like you can interpret, that's a cool thing, like you can interpret it however you want.
But yeah, that was something that we had to leave on the cutting room floor that we never could have unpacked, but that was in both of our brains, and especially was in my brain when I was doing that scene. Oof. But yeah, oh, and speaking of that scene, so many of the lines from it, if you go back to it, are exactly parallel.
The coward, the coward, and he was a coward and he was a fool. And if you think that makes me a coward, call me a coward. If you think that makes me a fool, call me that too. Yeah.
I pre-wrote that Val monologue because I wanted to be able to get it exactly right, and I like fudged a couple words or something. Like I had gotten the feel of it down and gotten a couple turns of phrase down before we sat down to do it, and like I was very specifically doing it in such a way that scene would be way worse. And like
if you go back and listen to honestly, go back and listen to A Worthy Opponent after this episode. Like, oh,
it's rough. But yeah, like it was very much something that like I think I wrote that monologue while I was planning the narration for the boat scene. So it was like fresh in the brain.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very much
because we were working on Omegroth 1 when we
No, we had started working on Omegroth 2 because that was in season 3.
That was season 3, episode 6. Had we done it that early? Yes, we had.
Yes, we had.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I would very much, the effect I was going for in the boat scene was, this is something that Moreland has been repeating to himself on loop.
If you think that makes me a coward, call me a coward. Yeah, so he was a coward and he was a fool. Yeah.
This is something he has never stopped thinking about and that he has been playing on loop in his brain to justify his own choices. Like that was the effect I was going for.
Well, because Valoran gave him permission. He said, if you want to call me a coward, if you want to call me a fool, go ahead. Okay, I will, to justify this to myself.
Yep. In reaction to us saying the Val ghost on the boat, like, oh yeah, Val's there to haunt my waking hours as usual, but what is going on here on this day?
That's just Moreland through season 3. What is going on here on this day? Adult life is already so fucking weird.
God. Might as well have.
Which, my God,
goodness. Yeah.
like, and if you view it through the lens of, oh, he could see Valoran too, again, you know, one way or the other is not wrong. I think that's something that's totally open to interpretation. But when Leo said, oh, and by the way, Valoran's angry with you, he doesn't forgive you. Can you imagine what a pants-shitting moment that would
be? Yeah. Oh, God, he doesn't forgive you, neither do I. Okay, our next question was, oh God, our next question was, so Val was awake, he saw it coming?
It was down to the dice, man. Yeah. I mean, like, I rolled ass on that stealth check, so, and that made it a lot worse. It was just like, it was one of those things where, like, the design of how we played D&D in this campaign was like, you know, we did have set points, but we talked about, like, the way we approached said points, you know, we could take the easy way or the hard way, and in this case, I rolled the dice real bad, and we took the hard way.
But in implication.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think, like, you had talked about, like, Moreland probably fainted some things going on in there to make Val let his guard down, but also Val was in a bad health situation. He was lightly sedated to have been able to get to sleep at all. Like,
yeah, because Adriel gave him extra medicine to help him sleep, so he was, like, kind of fucked up, probably.
Yeah, like it was very much something of like, because we said the body was in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he was. We reiterated it like multiple times.
He never left the bed.
Yeah, he never left the bed.
There was no fight.
Yeah, there was no fight. He just got fucking stabbed to death in his bed by his brother. Oof. But yeah, it was very much something of like, it was easy to get him to let his guard down because he was in an emotional state that
and
made
it was his little brother.
Like, and it was his brother. Yeah. Like for those two reasons, he was in a state, and he was in a state where he was more susceptible to having his guard, to letting his guard down, in deference to his little brother's emotions, and like just physically, Moreland could have overpowered him very easily. Magically, Moreland could have overpowered him very easily. Like it was,
and like
he didn't stand a fucking chance, which is.
Oh yeah, and the whole thing, and another thing with that is just like, why would he have ever thought like, oh yeah, he's here to kill me? You know, because like, did they have like petty fights as kids? Probably, but I don't think the thought would have ever crossed Valorant's mind of, oh, my brother is in my room because he's here to murder me.
Yeah, like it very much was just, he was awake, but he didn't see it coming at any point. Like it was something that I think the biggest and last shock of his life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think,
and we saw his ghost. He's bitter about that shit.
I was gonna say he had almost 2 centuries to stew on it, and he did.
Reasons that the man was interred at Luxtogalan because the first autumn equinox after his death, first words out of that skull would have been "fuck you."
Fuck you. Yeah, immediately interred on Luxtogalan as a hero. Like, oh yeah, I just want Moreland voice. I just want to give him a proper place to rest. Moreland in his head, he can't be here on autumn equinox.
Get fucked.
Get fucked. Fuck you. First words out of that skull. Oh goodness. Yeah, I think that was, I've talked about like ghosts have limited emotions. I think the big emotion of Val's ghost was bitterness. Bitterness. Just fuck you. Like, I think bitterness and spite. Like, he wanted that motherfucker down because that was the person that he trusted most in the world, probably.
The person that he loved most. Like, he literally said the words, like, the person I love most.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly. Like, it was Moreland and Adriel were the 2 top people in his life, and Moreland fucking
Tristan.
killed. Well, and Tristan, but I think Tristan was below Adriel, kind of. Like, they had stuff going on, and they'd been friends for forever. But like,
they basically
Adriel
had like a long-term friends with benefits thing going on, I think.
Yeah, but like Adriel was his person, and like Moreland killed him, arranged Adriel's death, and also, if we're counting Tristan in there, sent Tristan away from the palace to like live a life in obscurity to avoid being fucking assassinated. Like, it was very much something of like, oh, we can talk about this also. Tristan was the uncle that Fenn went to stay with in season 1.
So I want everybody to imagine for a second when Fenn fucked off in season 1 and went to stay with his aunt and his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan married a woman after all this. He could be bi. We don't know. We never unpacked it.
I think he's bi.
But, Fenn went to stay with his aunt and his uncle and probably had, a deep conversation with his uncle about, I fell in love with the person I was supposed to be bodyguarding, and like we had a lot of things. We had a lot of shit going on. It was deeply physical, and Tristan Tormare just had to be like, I can't imagine what that's like, buddy.
And then Tristan Tormare clawed the varnish off the arms of his chair.
Are you okay, Uncle Tristan? Oh yeah, I'm great.
Yep. We had to establish that real quick. I'm great.
I have no
advice. The upholstery off of his own.
I have no advice to give you, Fenn. I'm real sorry, buddy. That sounds rough. Is she dead? No. Well, then you're doing all right, aren't you?
You're fine. God. Oh no. But yeah. we just had to establish that one. Our next question. Our next question was, can you talk about Nora again? Because frowny face. How fucked was it to be left on the battlefield and get the message of one of her brothers dying?
Well, she watched one of them die, and then Nora had a bad time, and then she went to therapy. Good for her.
Good for her.
Yeah,
she had that line in season 3 of like, what was it? You remember the line better than I do.
It was I told one of my brothers that none of this was his responsibility, and I told the other one that if he really cared, he would do something about it. And that was meant to be a red herring. You were meant to think it was the other way around.
Yeah. But like getting to see it. Yep.
Yeah. And also, I have a lot of feelings about Nora.
Yeah, I think that being the last thing she said to Val was already rough enough on her.
Yeah.
But then finding out that Moreland killed him, I think
we didn't. I think Nora and Moreland are very similar personality-wise in that they keep things very buttoned up. Like, we didn't really see the actual effect that had on Nora.
Yeah, not in like present day of the podcast.
No, yeah.
But like
that probably fucked her up real bad because she
already had therapy. Good for her.
Yeah, she had a lot of self-blame issues already going on.
Yeah.
With that whole thing. And also I have a lot of thoughts about like Val and Nora's relationship in terms of both of them being Moreland siblings, and like there's a certain degree of them both feeling really responsible for his mental health that is
that's just the way.
Is hard. It's just hard, which like it's not bad, and I don't think it's anything that he did intentionally.
Yes.
And it's certainly not anything that their parents did, because their parents didn't give a shit about Moreland. Well,
I think to an extent, like
their dad cared a little bit about him.
No, I was gonna say I think to an extent having a sibling that is in crisis and having parents that don't give a shit, like that
makes you feel responsible,
and it does make you feel responsible. Yeah.
Well, because Nora had that whole monologue about like he's in a vulnerable mental state. Like, we've seen what fucking happens when this happens. Like, clearly he's in crisis mode. You're the person that does something, do something. Like,
like that was something that I wish we'd had more time to unpack that in season 3, honestly. But like that was something that was.
I think Nora got so mad at him so fast that. Because I think if
she had to be.
Well, she did have to be. Yeah. But I think if we had more time to like actually explore the siblings' relationships with each other, especially because Nora and Moreland were battle buddies on top of being siblings. If we could have gotten the opportunity of like seeing her try to level with him and like try to parse out his mental health shit, it would have been interesting. But with the way things played out,
season 3 was just
she had to get that mad at him that fast because she had been presented the evidence that he fucking killed their big brother.
That would have been something. That's something that I wish we'd been able to explore, but it is what it is. Somebody in the chat said, Nora, my beloved. Our next question was just Adriel sad face. Bros.
Okay, so now I can circle back to that.
Yes.
I loved Moreland and Adriel's friendship, and it made it so much more fucked up that he had her killed. Because like when you had that line where you were like, I know you, and I know that your heart's in the right place, I was like, oh fuck, they are really good friends. Where they were just like both out there chain smoking. And he was like, don't tell Addie. Like,
well, and that thing, that brief moment of eye contact that they had in the first episode of just like, I think we didn't get to dig into their dynamic, but I think what we got of it was telling, because they had that moment outside when they were chain smoking. They had the moment in Val and Adriel's tent in episode 1.
They had the flashback moment when Val was sick when they were kids. I mean, I think they were, especially after Val got sick, like that was basically, they were each other's support network. I mean, because Nora and Boreas, I think, weren't even born when Val got sick.
No, I don't think they were.
No. Yeah, and Joranna, Moreland and Joranna were just never close. And I don't think Val and Joranna were ever close.
I love Joranna, but Queen of self-isolating. Get out of there. Eat, pray, love your... Sorry, every time I think about Drana, I just think the phrase "Eat, pray, love your way out of this one."
Neither of us have ever read Eat, Pray, Love.
No. But in relation to her marriage, that has been a joke for like a year. Eat, pray, love your way out of this one.
Yeah, so I mean, Morlun and Adrielle were when we had that scene where they were both outside chain smoking, and Morlun closed out the conversation with, "I think we all have different definitions of good." It was like, wow, this is like the end of a really long friendship, and I think they were really good friends.
Yeah,
and
the rest of what was going on with Adrielle this episode of like, especially in the end of the episode, like I wanted to make it very clear that like
she still trusted him.
And also that like even though she and Val did not have a romantic relationship, they were the most important person in each other's lives, like on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make that very clear of like,
she may have not loved Val in a romantic sense.
Yeah,
but
like
they loved each other.
He was not her husband in a sense that was supposed to be romantic or anything other than platonic, but like he was her person, he was her partner, he was a huge part of her life, and then he fucking died. And like I wanted to make it very clear how much that fucked her up in the moment, and how much it made her go along with everything that came after. And like that was probably why her death was arranged, because she wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, and honestly, like when your delivery on "we should have listened to you" broke me. It was so sad. Like,
oof. But yeah, it was very much, I was trying to convey very much with Adrielle at the end of the episode how much that fucked with her, and like how driven she would be to find out exactly what had happened.
And she was asking too many questions.
For it with her life.
Yep, same thing that happened to Adana. I mean, Adana didn't die, but she was supposed to. Like, like it very much was just she never would have stopped asking questions. Mm-hmm. Like I think would have. Well, I think she and Adana probably. Yeah, I think she and Adana probably put their heads together and were like, Morlan's story doesn't fucking match up, and that was the point where he was like, okay, both of these ladies need to.
Somebody in the chat said on this episode of nearly everyone who supported Morlan until a certain point is now dead.
Everybody in the Omegroth party except Adana and Nora are dead, and it's Morlan's fault.
And Tristan Tormere is still alive. He wasn't in the main party. He wasn't in the main party, but everybody
Reese,
that was.
Elisha.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody except Adrielle, he killed personally, or arranged their deaths personally. Mm-hmm. No, Adrielle, he arranged personally. He killed everyone. He killed Elisha. He killed Reese, and he arranged Eamon and Adrielle's deaths. And
I mean, Elisha helped him with Eamon, but they both did that.
Somebody in chat just said gestures. But like that was something that I was trying to convey with Adrielle, was like she would have been like a dog with a bone at what happened to Val until the day she died, and that was why she had to. Like, it was rough. We have one more question. I know we're running long.
And then we're gonna do a brief open question period.
A very brief one. Our last question was, if Val had lived and become Archduke, would he have broken the cycle like Leo and Fee did, or continued it?
It's hard.
I think, as the person who played Val, that he probably would have been very complacent to everything that happened, because he would have, I think, fallen into a trend of almost every Valsine Archduke that preceded him.
Harm reduction.
Yeah, of harm reduction and of keeping his people together, even if he had to kill a few of them, and like being complacent with it. Because like, I think that is something. I think complacency is one of the big terrible things with the Valsine dynasty that we've had kind of going on in the background of like,
people were just okay.
Yeah. People were just okay with it. Like, I think that's Like,
and then Moreland as a villain, like really leaning into it. You know, like, deviates from the complacency, but
like I think we had a few people that were on board and bloodthirsty and driving at it, like Moreland, like Elander, in a sense, by the end of his career. Ileana. But like, I don't think Leo and Fee's grandfather, I think he was just complacent. I think Elander's, well, I think we said Elander's son would have been pushing it because he wanted to expand, but like his grandkids would have just been complacent with it because it was what they had been doing their entire lives. Like, it was very much, I think most of the line was just complacent about it.
Just gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet. And I think Val, because his greatest flaw, I think, is that he wants things to be calm and be normal, and he wants his personal people to be safe and near him. Like, I think in the interest of keeping the peace, Val would have been complacent with it, but we also can't know because he died.
Yeah.
Like, it's a hard question because, like, yeah, because we saw the possible future where he was the Archduke and he was keeping up the system in Leo's fucked up dream at the end of season 3. And I think to an extent that is an accurate reflection. Yeah. Like, I think he would have been very complacent with it. He wouldn't have expanded it like Moreland did. He wouldn't have pushed things like Moreland did. But I think at the cost of his country crumbling around him and them being vulnerable to further invasion, and like,
as somebody that had lived through that war,
I think he would have gone along with it, which is fucked up. He's very complicated.
Yeah.
We got complicated people here.
But no heroes in the Valsine family.
Yeah. If you wanted black and white morality, you came to the wrong podcast. Anyway, but open question time in the chat, by the way. Let's say 5 minutes.
Yeah, just anything you want us to riff on, talk about, just put it in the chat. But
we're gonna riff to the end. But yeah, I am so glad Elmagroth 2 was released. I'm so glad everybody can listen to it. Oof. 6 months to record it. Oh my god.
And it was brutal. Like, it was a brutal recording process, but like, it honestly, in my opinion, one of the best episodes we've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, it turned out really, really well, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it was some of the best acting we've done.
The Val and Moreland fight. Was like some of the best voice acting I think either of us have ever done.
Oh yeah.
You have Boreas. I have a shithead little brother. Like, yeah. Like,
I was proud of that line. You have Boreas. Miles and miles away, and Valental Boreas' head shoots up like...
Did somebody say my name?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, and I feel like, again, you know, speaking of just characters that I would love to unpack and we never got the time to, like, Boreas is, like, really interesting in that sibling dynamic. As, like, it's funny because he's the older twin, too. Like, Nora is technically the baby.
Yeah, I think he's very much like Jorana in that he distanced himself.
And he got forgotten. And I think he was happy about that. But I think Jorana was not happy about it. I think Jorana was always tagging around on Moreland and Val's heels. Like, and we see that in the flashbacks, too.
Yeah.
We see that in the flashbacks, too, where she's, like, always there. And she's always trying to, like, be in the situation. And it's like, neither of them really want her there.
It was, I think with a lot of the older Val sides, it was very much just like, it would have been fun to unpack them.
Yeah.
But it didn't have a place in the actual podcast. Like, it wasn't relevant to the story. Yeah, and like, I think if we had tried to unpack it all in Homograth, it would have been like 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And the pacing would have been fucked up. And like, I think we already had things going a little fast, but I think if we had slowed it down enough to unpack everything, it would have been horrible. Yeah. It would have been a slog. Yeah. So, but yeah, it would have been.
But we got, we got the important points across. Ileana was fucking awful. Their dad didn't go to bat for his kids at all.
Ever.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, he tried to go to bat for Moreland, and then we literally saw him get like shut down one time, and he was like, "Okay, yep,
okay."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very much. Yeah, it was. We got across what I think we needed to. It would have been nice if we had been able to find like any space at any point to unpack Jorana and Bray. Somebody asked, how do you feel about how you left Campaign 1 lore? Like with Omegroth being completely out, we now have the beginning, the middle, and the ending of the lore of Campaign 1. How is that? How's that as a thing? It's a lot.
There's more shit, but it's not horribly relevant.
Yeah, like I think this is the real lore.
This is the deep cuts. Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's something we've been working on for 2 years at this point, so it is
almost
wild.
3.
No, we started in 2020.
Okay,
we started in December 2020. Yeah, but like it is wild. It is wild to have it all wrapped. I feel like I've gotten a lot of closure by having it all done. We have one more bonus episode that we gotta churn out, but that's not like super lore.
It's gonna be a short. No, it's gonna be a short one. It's a fun one. Yeah.
It feels very. Patrons will get that first, and then it'll be public release in October. But yeah, it feels very cathartic, and it feels very final to have gotten all the lore out. Which is on one hand very sad because it is something we've been working on for so long. But on the other hand, I'm very excited to get on to Campaign 2. And
I am too. And also, we're going to be, now that we're back home, we're starting a home game again. And our new home game, I'm going to be DMing, and it is going to take place in Illyria.
Yeah, so, it's a world that we did a lot. Somebody in the chat said, I mean, more than 2 years at this point, right? Like, since when has this plot been developing? Because I can't imagine you did it all a year before. We developed
the Val sign, like Leo and Fee.
Yeah, Leo and Fee had been we had them for
Leo
like
and
years
Fee and Moreland.
Yeah, we'd had them for like years and years because we played them in a home game. But like the plot of the campaign, we started in I think June of 2020. Yeah, and we zerged through planning out the plot in like the.
It was a fugue state. Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. We did a map and we started playing. We did the plot in like. I think a week was just for the big points. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we were cleaning out the apartment, we found our original map, and it was so fucked up.
It was bad. We did a lot of reworking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very much. Yeah, we started working on the show in, I think May or June of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're keeping Illyria. We're keeping like all of the cosmological math shit, but it's just gonna move to a home game now.
At some point.
Yeah.
If we have time.
But we're just moving it to a home game now, so we get to explore all the shit that we didn't get to unpack in the podcast. That's good for us.
But like, I feel like the lore that was relevant to Leo and Fee's story, having unpacked it all and having released it all, is very cathartic. And like, yeah, it is sad to let it go, but I am very excited. I, for one, am very excited to be able to put the lore kind of at the back of my brain and just keep it in a home game and be able to move on to our second campaign for the actual show. Plans. With that, oh God, we ran 13 minutes long on this Q&A. Oh, fuck.
Good night, everybody.
Next bonus episode is coming out for public release the first Friday of September.
Yeah, that was in the
or Thursday for patrons. You all know this if you listen to the postscript, but bears mentioning. Keep an eye out for more ARG stuff. Big plans. Patrons, you will be getting one more bonus episode before Campaign 2 starts. Or $5 patrons, you will be getting one more.
We're recording that tomorrow.
We're recording that tomorrow. It'll be out when it's out. We're sorry, but it will be out before Campaign 2.
We had to move across the country. We're doing what we can. Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody's understanding. But yeah, we're going to go. Bye. See you next time.
Hooray.
Hooray.